Alright guys, welcome to today's session and we'll be handling Alias in SQL. First of all, what is Alias? It's popularly known as AS. Okay? It's used in the renaming of an already existing column in a table or in actually naming a new column, right? Most times an aggregate column. It works only for that particular query and it's used to enhance the readability of the resulting table. Now, what does that mean? You're trying to say for times when you have a really long name or a default name in a column that's unreadable or might complicate things. You want to keep it really simple, so you can use an alias just to work on that particular output. Now, alias can also be used in renaming a table in a query. All right, so it's not just for columns alone, it can be used to rename a table. And it also used when combining multiple columns. And we must not forget that alias cannot be used in the group by having or where clause part, except we have to use them with the other by. And jumping right into SQL, we'll be able to see some examples. So I'm going to try to retrieve two columns from this table, and just from my transaction table, I'll try to get my invoice ID and the cost of goods sold, COGS. Now I have my invoice ID and COGS. Anyone looking at this table would not understand what COGS mean. So I'm going to use my alias to change this column to cost of goods sold. Okay. And remember, alias is written as what? AS. Okay. So I'm going to just do this and I'll say select invoice ID and my COGS as cost of goods sold from transaction. Note that because this has changed here does not mean that note that because this has changed here, it doesn't mean that my does not in any way mean that my original table has changed, right? So if I run down my transaction, I will still have that column as what? COGS. But just for this query alone and the output of this query, I will have this as cost of goods sold. Okay. Now, some cases, you don't have to put that as at all. All I have to do is just give a space after the original column name. So I'll just take this out of the way. Take this out. I've written this as this, right? COGS space cost of goods sold. If I run this, you would find out that I still have this. Okay, so you can either write it this way as, or you just give a space after your default column name and just put the new column name. Microsoft SQL will interpret that as as an alias, and then also give us this answer that we want. Now I said before that we can change the name of an already existing column we have done, and then now for this particular example, I would love us to change our table names, give them an alias. Why? Because I want to retrieve my invoice ID from my transaction table, my branch and gross income. Now, branch is gotten from my details, okay, from my details table. And so, if I have to write this here, I would naturally write transactions here, okay. But this is a lot. Now it's already giving me this red line because you understand that I have done the alias here and changed it to C. But imagine having to write transactions.invoice ID and knowing that to avoid ambiguity, I would also have to put the same transactions here. So you see how my query is becoming unreadable, right? So to avoid that, I will just, because if I put this here, you see that it's becoming hectic to look at, right? So just to keep it simple, I decided to use the alias on my tables as well, so that my table now, transaction table now bears the name T, and my details table bears the name T. Okay. Now on this with this join, I can choose to have this. So you see, I keep my query really simple just because I got to be able to rename this. And remember, I do not have to put the as there. I can choose to run it like this. Okay. And I will still have the same result. Alright, because after the table name, I have to put the alias and it will definitely recognize it. Going forward, remember I also said that we do not necessarily have to, sorry, I said we cannot use our as or alias name with the goodbye or where clause. Okay, so you look at this place where I'm trying to retrieve my invoice ID branch, the gross income as profit. Now I want this column named as gross income to be named as what? Profit. And then I did an aggregate of my quantity as well, total quantity. For my transactions as T and details, join inner join details as D. Okay. But I'm going to apply a filter, which will say return only gross income greater than 20. Notice that while our gross income is seen as profit, remember the output is going to give us profit. We cannot use the profit here because the where clause does not recognize the alias name, right? It recognizes the default name. So if I say um, where profit greater than 20, so I just put profit here. Trust me, this will give me an error. Why? Because the where clause does not recognize, it's an invalid column name because it doesn't recognize the alias. Okay, it does recognize the default name. Okay, so if I change this back to gross income, if I change this back to gross income, I will be able to have an output where the profit column, remember I used the gross income here, but where the profit column is greater than 20. So I choose to also take a look at my group by. You realize that I'm also grouping by gross income here, not profit. Okay. Now this group by is necessary because I have an aggregate column in my request, right? In the requested column I want. Therefore, I have to group the rest of them or the rest columns in a group by, right? So they are all within the group by clause. And the only place where I can use my alias name is at the other by part. Because while the rest work with the original column and their default name, the other by works with the output, right? So other by works with the output, so you can work with the output name, which is profit. These other guys work with the original table, so they work with the default name. All right. So that's all there is to Alias, and I hope you've been able to learn something today. If you did, do like, share, and subscribe to our channel. And I hope to catch you soon. And if there's any topic you want to know about, drop it in the comment section, and I'll definitely handle that in our next video. Thank you so much.